Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile, Nadia Comaneci's perfect 10s in Olympic gymnastics, Hank Aaron's home runs, Mark Spitz's swimming victories. Each of these athletes, through their accomplishments, has raised the quality of sports. These sports figures illustrate the determination needed to accomplish a goal. Each had to train intensely to stay ahead of the competition, a feat which is not easy to do. Performances which were phenomenal in the past would only be average attempts today. This fact shows the advancements of athletic competition in our society. It is the same way in the game of life. The constant struggle to achieve success has raised mankind from the hardship and plague of the Dark Ages to the luxury and advancement of the 20th century. Our generation, the class of 1986, has so much to contribute to society. However, we must never be satisfied with our accomplishments. We should always strive to better ourselves. And most important of all, do not be afraid of failure. Therefore, always reach farther and hold on tight. Let us pray that with God's guidance, we, the Cherry Hill East class of 1986, can achieve our dreams of the future. Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the platform guests, and I would ask the members on the platform to please stand as I call your name. President of the Board of Education, Barbara Richterman. Vice President, Eleanor Softman. Members of the Board of Education, John Wydra, Dr. Stephen Barbell, James Marino, Robert Friedman, Mary Ann Rafferty, Faith Jerome, David Milotsky, members of the Board of Education. Members of the Superintendency, Superintendent of Schools, John McKeon, Assistant Superintendent, Richard Surface, Dr. Joseph Pagonia, Dr. Robert Ferris, Administrative Assistant for Personnel, William Lobb, Supervisor of Secondary Education, Dr. Richard Levy, members of the Superintendency. Grade level principal for the class of 1986, Edward Collins. Class Advisor for the class of 1986, John Vavone. Director of Student Activities, Fred Belchikoff. Principal of the Cole School Program, Seymour Wallach. Class officers for the class of 1986, not quite Jennifer. President, Jennifer Mitchell. Vice President, Michael Hassman. Secretary, David Glass. Treasurer, David Wilcox. Officers of Student Congress, Warren Mulligan, Julie Reinstein, David Bacall, Caroline Cable. I should like to take a special moment at this time to ask our faculty members to stand. These men and women who have chosen to join us this evening in honoring our graduates are the people responsible for preparing our students for this moment. Please join me in offering them a round of applause, and I would ask the faculty members present here this evening to please stand. There is one member of the class of 1986 who is unable to be with us this evening. A few weeks ago, Kim McAvoy was seriously injured in an automobile accident. I am happy to report that Kim is making good progress, and as we talked this morning at rehearsal, members of the class of 1986, please keep Kim in your thoughts this evening, and again, let us make this the best commencement ceremony ever at Cherry Hill High School East for yourselves and for Kim McAvoy. Thank you.
We started this school 4 short years ago, each one of us a seed that was planted to grow. We entered as freshmen. We were scared and still small. The fear built inside us as we walked down that hall. By the end of the year, Beck and Heritage were one. We had never dreamt we could have so much fun. Do you remember the first day of freshman year? We walked into homeroom and total chaos letting loose while schedules were being passed out. Everyone was running around trying to find where B232 was or the girls' gym. I was at least 10 minutes late for every class. Our freshman year started out slowly, but quickly picked up pace. In April, our class had an all-night volleyball marathon, which raised $4,000 and benefited our state charity. As sophomores, things just got better. Mr. Vavone became our new advisor, and what an advisor he has been. There were so many times when we couldn't have made it without him. He was an artist. He made all the decorations for the prom. He was a writer. Whenever someone needed help writing an article or a paper, he always gave a hand. He was a chauffeur. Many a time did he drive us to the printers or to get food, and especially home when we were stuck. But most important, he was a leader and a friend. Many times have I sought his guidance and cried on his shoulder. One project he suggested that became a huge success was a class newsletter. We were the first class that had any kind of newsletter. We had our cotillion in April, the theme all night long. Maybe it was that theme that gave us our Spirit Week theme, the city that never sleeps, New York. Remember our own chorus line girls and Chippendale guys? We've had many successful fundraiser firsts, starting with the car wash. I think by the end of the day, we were the ones that were thoroughly washed. Then came that special time of the year, Mother's Day. We sold over 1,000 plants in 3 years. We were also the first to use the new field house here for the football concessions. But by far, the one project that we'll all remember is the senior men calendar. Who could forget Mr. March? Hi, Brian. But the terrific energy just didn't go into raising money. We cared a lot about other people, too. For Christmas, we helped Mr. Ravone's English classes entertain underprivileged kids by playing games with them, giving them presents, and just helping them to have a great time. For Valentine's Day, we went to Leaders Nursing Home, bringing cakes and cookies and our own band. But we gave of ourselves the most when we all gave blood. We can all be proud to know that we are the #1 high school for donating pints of blood in the Delaware Valley region. Also, we broke the record at East, which was 400 pints, while we donated 540 pints of blood. And as our time at East was coming to a close, we had to think of what permanent reminder of the class of 1986 could leave behind. We finally came up with the idea of a statue of a cougar. And some statue it is. It weighs 2 tons. Our cougar will be placed in front of the school for everyone to see. Our class gift, the cougar, heralded our fame, a symbol, too, of East's greatness and wide acclaim. A pass from grade level meant students beware, but through all our problems, Ed Collins was there. Graduation day, our emotions are high, hoping to see each other as time passes by. Thank you. As president of the class of 1986, it is in his distinguished career, this gentleman has served the district as a teacher, principal, and assistant superintendent. And 4 years ago, as we, the members of the class of 1986, began our career at Cherry Hill East, this gentleman began his career as superintendent of schools in Cherry Hill. Now, 4 years later, we again share a common experience as we end our careers as part of the Cherry Hill school system. And since this parallel has existed for the last 4 years, we think it would be nice if it continued. On behalf of the graduating class, it's my pleasure to present this diploma, making him an honorary member of the Cherry Hill High School East class of 1986, to Mr. John H. McKeon.
Good evening. I would like everyone here to help me now to reflect upon the quote, "Let's do it before we drop." Or, as James Joyce said so much more eloquently, "Better pass boldly into that other world in the full glory of some passion than fade and wither dismally with age." Hopefully, every one of us gathered here this evening will not enter that other world for many years to come. But at the same time, everyone must be aware that the time has now come for each of us to locate that passion that can one day guide us to a blissful eternity. It is a waste of time for himself and society if man merely allows his life to wilt and blend into obscurity. It is the duty of every one of us, in fact, of every human being, to make something of life, to find a passion before the time comes to pass boldly into that other realm. The phrase, "a passion before we pass," holds the key to the success of every man. Moreover, man's passion can be readily divided into 3 distinct categories. Let us now begin to take a look at the 3 facets of man's passion, and throughout, keep in mind the essence of their relationship to the word pass. The first division of man's passion is his occupation. For example, one area of occupation that exists in our society is that of athletics. Some of us here are going on to college to pursue various athletic interests, and a few may even have hopes of locating their passion in that area. Athletics, like anything else, requires a great deal of work and determination, but the thrill of victory can usually overcome any such obstacle. Who knows? One day, one of us, seated right here, might be like Dan Pastorini, and as an open receiver cuts left, be able to throw the winning pass in the Super Bowl. Ooh, very good. Then again, one can also never forget the agony of defeat, such as allowing the passed ball that gives the opposition the win in the 7th game of the World Series. Others of us may be oriented toward different areas. For example, there probably exist many future scientists sitting among us this evening. In a growing technological world, there always exists the need for people to man our computers, nuclear weapons, and other complex machinery. In addition, in the field of medicine, there exist many questions for one of us to try to answer. There still are no cures for many diseases, such as cancer and AIDS. The next Louis Pasteur might right now be sitting among our ranks. For those of us with less scientific interests, there are many other paths upon which one may embark. To write what one believes is the dream of many, but only the reality of a chosen few. Again, who knows? Some people here tonight may possess the creative genius to produce works of fiction at their command, to attain their passion in life by entertaining and enlightening the rest of humanity, to become the next Boris Pasternak. One's life's work, though, is only one of many ways in which man can enhance his existence before he passes onto that unknown realm. Other people may instead locate their passion in a certain creed or belief, and subsequently decide to spend their entire life upholding it. One such belief is that of a supreme being, deity, or God. No man should ever feel like a pariah or even slightly ashamed if he holds the value of God or some other being higher than that of our physical society. Even though it is most often not regarded as such, the spiritual is often a much more beneficent and powerful device than the materialism of this society in which we live. Thus, the option always exists for one of us to shun material interests and become a highly respected pastor or a rabbi who knows the true meaning of the holiday of Passover and the Paschal Lamb. Still, there is a third form of passion which can often prove much more potent than that of an occupation or a supernatural belief. This passion is the passion of the heart, which most of us call love. Every man, no matter how much he claims it not to be true, cannot thrive alone in this world. Every human being needs someone or a group of someones upon whom he can rely and trust. This concept can often be embodied by the realm of friendship, but it reaches a pinnacle when, as Lionel Richie said, two hearts beat as one. In order to conquer the desires of the heart, human beings often make passes at other human beings. Many times, love flourishes out of one of these passes of passion. The glory of this type of passion then often culminates in marriage, children, and other moments of joy. For our parents, tonight, our high school graduation is one of those other moments of joy. The passion of the heart can be the most powerful of the three divisions, but simultaneously, it can be the most fragile. Life often takes bizarre turns, and thus, the chance always exists for fate to strike a dissonant note amidst the harmony of life's blissful pastures. Fortunately, though, if one believes strongly enough in the passion of the heart, then even after it may be physically gone, it never becomes only a passing memory, but rather lives on in the soul forever. Let us now, once again, consider the quote, "Let's do it before we drop." Man cannot fulfill his existence if he does not do anything with his life. Through either an occupation, a belief, a love, or better yet, a mixture of the three, man must find a way to satisfy the passion of his life before he passes onto that next realm. The ultimate dream of every man should be to find the still undiscovered perfect balance of man's three areas of passion. Man should never do that which is false or anything just for the sake of doing it, but there should always exist some form of feeling or passion in his every action. In conclusion, I would like to quote one other musical genius, the immortal Guitarzan, who once sang, "Always try to find that express way to your heart and then live your life like a true soul man." Thank you, good night, and good tequila!
I would like to take this opportunity to address the class for one final time. I'd like to express the pleasures and the rewards that I, as class president, have shared with you as friend and teacher during the past 4 years. The years since you entered Cherry Hill High School East have gone by quickly. When we came together for the first time in September 1982, we were each new to East. During the past 4 years, we have learned and grown together. I have watched you grow, develop, and mature, and have derived great satisfaction from your many accomplishments. Academically, socially, athletically, and in the realms of activities, you have been successful, and you have become leaders. The achievements that you leave behind as the class of 1986 will be recorded in the development of Cherry Hill High School East, but your greatest challenges and triumphs still lie ahead. The education and experiences you received at East will serve you well as each of you embark upon a new and exciting phase of your life. In future years, as your success grows, I will be proud to say I knew the class of 1986. I wish you health and happiness in the years to come, and hope that you are successful in all your endeavors. Each year, the Al DeBart Memorial Foundation presents 2 awards in memory of the late Al DeBart, former assistant principal of Cherry Hill High School East. The criteria in selecting the recipients of the Al DeBart Award are good citizenship, cooperation with fellow students and teachers, participation in school life, and loyalty to the school. This year's award winners are Jennifer Mitchell and Ronald J. Rambler.
Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a German poet, dramatist, and prose writer, once said, "Treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you will help them to become what they are capable of being." This is exactly the treatment you have received throughout your 4 years at East from your teachers. In order for them to meet such a task, they challenged you. This challenge came through constant words of encouragement, through endless assessments of your knowledge of subject matter, and through a belief in your potential to succeed. Today marks the testimony that you have met such challenges, and your teachers applaud what you have achieved this day. However, today also brings a set of new demands, even more challenges. Your class has ardently raised thousands of dollars for so many charities, sponsoring everything from volleyball marathons to dances, with proceeds to help research find cures for leukemia, multiple sclerosis, and muscular dystrophy, to name a few. To the 19% of you who chose to enter the field of research and medicine, I challenge you to find the cures for such dreaded diseases. Careers in business ranked #1 in your class, with 34% electing to pursue the field. The business management of your class has been unrivaled, but in order to attain such a prestigious claim, idealistic thoughts were first conceived. Know that every great individual of business has got somewhere a touch of the idealist in that person. And know, too, that a great society is one in which people of business think greatly of their functions. 12% from the class will seek degrees in law. The first duty of society is justice. Fidelity to the public, then, requires that the laws be as plain and as explicit as possible, that the less knowing may understand and not be ensnared by them, while the artful evade their force. And never lose sight of the fact that the laws of a nation form the most instructive portion of the history. For those of you who seek degrees in education, always remember that a teacher affects eternity. No one can tell where his influence stops. For all of you, destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not something to be waited for. It is something to be achieved. Know that your teachers believe in you, support you, and will always assist you long after today. And to commemorate this, your graduation day, June 24, 1986, I share with you the closing words of Ralph Waldo Emerson when he addressed the graduating class of Dartmouth College on June 24, 1836. His words to them that day were, "Explore, explore, and explore. Make yourself necessary to the world." And now, before I leave you, I do have some comments to make as your class advisor. We have shared so very much, and I have gained so much more for having been associated with you throughout these years at East. When you brought pride and outstanding accomplishments to our school, you've brought them to me. And when you brought merit and much acclaim to the class, you brought them to me. You are the real spirit of East. You are the reasons why truly Cherry Hill High School East is #1 in the state. Never, ever lose sight of that. And know, too, that I will miss you more than you can ever imagine, because you have given me such priceless, everlasting memories that any class advisor could ever fathom. East won't be the same without you. I won't be the same without you. But take pride in what you've accomplished. You have given East a legacy. You have established such a precedent that surely all underclassmen will have it most difficult to follow. You are East. You are 86. You are number one. Through my eyes, I see you as the best class the school has ever had. And from my heart, I thank you for what you've given East, 86, and me. So class, you reach your goals, you meet your challenges, and do make yourself necessary to the world. I believe in you. I've always believed in you. God bless you, 86, and thank you.
Here we are assembled together for the final time. As this is our last big event, I'd like to jog your memories a bit and take you on a journey from September 1982 through June 1986. 4 years ago, we first arrived at that awesome establishment on Crescent Road. It was called East, Cherry Hill East. And each one of us knew that it would be a major step into our future. We came with anticipation, excitement, and anxiety, not knowing what to expect. I can remember Mr. Cost and Mr. Collins standing before us at freshman orientation saying, "East has so much to offer to you, but what you get out of East will be in proportion to what you put in." Thus, 700 of us were plunged into the big red and white sea, hoping not to sink. 1983 was our first year at Cherry Hill East, and it was a year of many firsts. Chicago elected its first black mayor, and Sally Ride became the first woman to orbit the Earth. Do you remember the first upperclassman you met who sold you your first elevator pass, only for you to find that it wouldn't take you to the 4th floor swimming pool? As if we weren't already confused enough, we were not here even a month before the entire school went into a frenzy and East seemed like a battle zone. They called this war Spirit Week, and I still wonder why we chose to be preppies. We saw the 76ers take the NBA championship, and as we say goodbye to MASH, we say goodbye to being the last rung on the ladder, the freshmen. Along came sophomore year, and we met our new class advisor, John Vivone, who led us along with the magic of Walt Disney to the first of our 3 homecoming float victories. Many said, "Where's the beef?" And after turning the cafeteria into a ballroom to party all night long at our sophomore cotillion, other classes began to heed the words of Mr. Vivone when he said, "The class of '86 has the beef." We received our class rings that night, symbols of our ties with East. Now we became juniors. We decked ourselves out New York style to do battle during Spirit Week, and the entire student body pulled together for the greatest display of school spirit ever when East found the energy to write close to 1 million Hooters cards. While we trembled over what our SAT scores would be, we watched the earth tremble under Mexico. Then, taking Cherry Hill by storm, the class of '86 turned 17 and headed for their cars. Some say the streets have never been the same. The class held a junior prom that may never be surpassed. It was just one more night of unforgettable fun and togetherness. The year drew to a close, and finally, along with Bill Cosby's new TV show, we made it to the top of the ladder. We became seniors and a force to be reckoned with. Senior year. As we prepared for battle with the hurricane that never arrived, we reigned victorious in Spirit Week. We reigned victorious in Spirit Week as MASH 4086 conquered all in its path. College applications were sent in, and the waiting began. Between SAT scores and college acceptances, the mailman became a feared figure around class of '86 households. We registered for the draft and to vote. Then, the faculty sent out a cry to the scientific world to find a cure for acute senioritis, which now became an epidemic. We found it increasingly difficult to make it to English lab. Big Mac attacks became more frequent, and the summer never seemed so far away. Our parents refused to believe that all we needed was some convalescing by the shore. The senior trip finally came, and 350 seniors left for the fun and sun of Disney World. 350 returned home, all safe and sound, yet surprised at the sight of snow. We topped off the year with a fantastic prom at Bratz, received our long-awaited yearbooks, and then rushed around madly to get every signature. Today, high school for us is officially over. Our achievements, honors, and distinctions will remain behind as shiny metal trophies and bold black type in the record books for future generations to admire. We take our pride and memories of these 4 years along with us, ingrained in our minds and in our hearts. The good times, the bad times, the lockers we shared, and the summers we spent. The parties, Big Johns, the teachers who taught more than was merely printed in the books, and the best friends whom we treasure, we will always remember. We, the class of '86, are somewhat like the Statue of Liberty. She began renovation when we began our years at East. People who cared about her began to restore and rebuild her in preparation for the future so that she may withstand the test of time. Similarly, the people who cared about us have taken the time and patience to ready us for the changing world so that we may adapt, succeed, and benefit society. As America prepared the Statue of Liberty, our teachers and parents have prepared us, and we are greatly indebted to them. Graduating class of 1986, I wish the best of luck to each and every one of you. See you at the 5-year reunion.
Before I present the class to Mrs. Richterman, the President of the Board of Education, I would like to take just a moment to address just a few remarks to the class. Yours has been a class of many fine accomplishments and achievements. You have established a number of traditions that will remain a part of East for many years to come. It has been a pleasure for me to be associated with this class. You have demonstrated a caring attitude and a high degree of maturity during your time at Cherry Hill East. And tonight, as you prepare to leave East for the last time, please know that our commitment to you does not end, for you will always be a part of East, and hopefully East will always be a part of you. I extend to all of you my congratulations. I wish you Godspeed and best wishes for continued success in the future. And so, Mrs. Richterman, it is my pleasure to present to you the Cherry Hill High School East class of 1986. I am pleased to certify that they have met the requirements for graduation as established by the Cherry Hill Board of Education and the State of New Jersey, and they are entitled to a diploma.
On behalf of the Cherry Hill Board of Education, I accept the Cherry Hill High School East class of 1986 and authorize its commencement. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Wydra, who will give the congratulatory remarks.
Some of you may already know the value and importance of your now completed high school education. Many of you will come to know its value later in life. Some of you may never know or care. But ladies and gentlemen of the 1986 graduating class of Cherry Hill High School East, let me assure you that the diplomas you are receiving tonight represent one of the finest public school educations in this nation today. You have successfully completed your graduation requirements. To put it another way, you do indeed know your 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. But now it's time to face a new set of 3 R's: reasoning, reality, and responsibility. With regard to reasoning, this rite of passage for you tonight signifies, among other things, that you will be treated less and less as teenagers and more as adults. Whether or not you are willing to accept that fact and whether or not your parents especially want to admit it. You are now armed with the tools of reason to make decisions, to think things through, to reach conclusions, and to act on them. That power to reason separates you from the many who cannot or will not. Use that power wisely. With regard to our second new 3R, reality, this ceremony marks your introduction to the real world, the one you've heard your parents or other adults refer to, I'm sure, many, many times, that the real world out there can be harsh, that it's very competitive, that it's tough earning a living. Your first reality, though, is that as of tonight, you no longer have the privilege of returning to Cherry Hill East as a student. You are not one of them any longer. You are one of us. From here on, whether or not you are going on to college, whether or not you are entering the job market or the military service, you will no longer be protected from a reality that can be difficult at times, but which can also be exhilarating beyond your imagination. And with regard to the third of your new 3Rs, responsibility, much is expected of you. Combined with your newly developed capacity to reason and your emerging sense of reality, we are expecting you, demanding you to join the rest of we adults by acting responsibly. All of you who are 18 or older are registered to vote, I trust. To vote and to know the issues is not just a right, it's an obligation. You are going to be called upon, if you haven't already, to pay your taxes. You will be expected to be charitable to those who have far less than you. This nation, this world, is filled with people who need you, who need your help, who need your guidance. Don't ever forget them, especially if you do well in life. You may one day be asked to serve in a civic or community organization or public office. Don't refuse us without thinking about it responsibly, because we will need some of you to serve. And of course, I needn't remind you of the responsibility, the debt you owe to those who helped you get this far. Your families, who are very, very proud of you today, and the families many of you will build one day. Reasoning, reality, responsibility, the dawning of your adulthood. You will need strength, you will need courage. I would like to close with some words of wisdom that have been important to me for the most of my adult life. They are the words of Morris West. It costs so much to be a full human being that there are very few who have the enlightenment or the courage to pay the price. One has to abandon altogether the search for security and reach out to the risk of living with both arms. One has to embrace the world like a lover and yet demand no easy return of love. One has to accept pain as a condition of existence. One has to count doubt and darkness as the cost of existence. And one needs a will stubborn in conflict, but apt always to the total acceptance of living and dying. On behalf of the Board of Education, on behalf of your teachers, and all the other hundreds and hundreds of school district employees, most of whom you never knew, but who all did their best to bring you to this day, our very best wishes, good luck, and congratulations.
Mr. Claus, please assist us by having the names of the members of the class of 1986 read.
Mr. Vavone, would you please accept the honor of reading the names of the class officers and the officers of Student Congress?
The senior class officers are Jennifer Mitchell, President; Michael Hasman, Vice President; David Glass, Secretary; David Wilcox, Treasurer. The Student Congress officers are Warren Mollican, President; David Bacall, Vice President of Affairs; Julie Reinstein, Vice President of Activities; and Caroline Cable, Secretary Treasurer.
At this time, it is my honor to read the names of the ranking scholars, the top 1% of the class of 1986, and the academic leaders. Jeffrey Paul Wallach, Grace H. Park, Laurie Bassman, Paul Kleidermacher, Anthony Louis Mishosha, Karen Freeman, Shauna Glick, Vinay Desai. At this time, I would like to ask the class officers to read the names of the members of the class of 1986.
Arthur Ashe, Julie Catherine Burns, Karen Lynn Barr, Paul Francis Borghese, Paul Allen Opperly, Andrea Caleri, Kathleen Mary Healy, Philip Kronakis, Michael Barr, Karen Chide, Pratima Bose, Kenneth Hirschman, Evan Batzar, Nancy Choi, Deborah Michelle Block, Michael Kaufman, Craig Berrison, Stacy Cooper, Jamie Bluth, Evan Scott Cutler, Thomas Biancardi, Meredith Deborah Fenster, Irina Bondarenko, Frank DeLorco, Andrew Victor Brandt, Kim Cheryl Friedman. Depriva Muna Gupta, Andrew E. Coopersmith, Joseph Dobrinsky III, Terry Koenig, Anita Gall, Mark Jonathan Lemberg, Paul Earl, Elisa Marie Kinker, Wendy Kanzler, Robert Morocco, Jeffrey Engelman, Marnie Irene Levin, Kimberly Melissa Kaplan, Arnold Paul May, Robert Feldman, Michelle Aileen Levin, Stephanie Lynn Catton, Eric James Odell, Saul Friedman, Suzanne Carol Mallet, Melissa Nicole Keller, Michael Paisner, Benjamin Hershkowitz, Shara Millman, Elisa Kerner, Joel Rex, John Holland, Erica Mincer, Jennifer Bina Kim, Michael John Redick, Mark Allen Kabat, Adrena Mavzezian, Tricia Udicious, Mark Recant, Alan Thomas, Ellen Schwab, Leslie Ann Shropshire, Matthew George Harrison, Jeffrey Schock, Jody Schwartz, Catherine Teresa Sipp, Louis DeMarco Jr., Richard Andrew Shore, Deborah Ann Skian, Lisa Ann Krantz, Stephen Creel, G. Adam Shapiro, Renee Elizabeth Schreiber, Cheryl Platt, Robert Horgan, Thomas H. Slack, Deborah Michelle Pollock, Maureen Ann Shields, Sean Harris Bendick, Jason Ari Kaplan, Chi Park, Lisa Marie Rapp, Harry Othrea, Andrew E. Willie, Allison Rudman, Jamie Nemiroff, Vaughn C. Harden, Steve Berman, Andrea Lynn Snyder, Marianne T. Simatowski, Jonathan Bruce Greenberg, Kwang Soo Kim, Beth Tassione.
Louise Spink, Louis France, James Thomas P. Gardy, Tracy Coopersmith, Julie Yen, David Thomas Benson, Alok Desh Goel, Kimberly A. Johnson, Beth Nicole Zeiger, Jeffrey Andrew Holonicki, Robert Mitchell Kaufman, Lisa Cotter, Stephanie Winitsky, Michael Neil Goldstein, Adam Harry Dietz, Elizabeth Jean Beanie, Sujatha Varadarajan, Alfred Richard Domingo, Amit Agarwal, Joanne Kirsten Horgan, Kim Tiedrick, Kevin Block, Stephen Richard Feldman, Rowena Chan Espino, Heidi Weinroth, Todd Neil Berenger, Ronald Frank Kratchman, Susmita G. Joshi, Dana Renee Harper, James Wesley Brown, Jr., John Kobolinski, Beth Stacy Goodman, Rachel Beth Corby, Eric Gelman, Andrew Paul Clevens, Stacy Michelle Ferber, Josette Glaviano, Joseph Edward Gilson III, John Edward Gold III, Paula Marie Cavanaugh, Cheryl Lees, Stephen Krasminski, Louis C. Hanel, Faith J. Billington, Jill Rebecca Blumenthal, Jay Young An, Andrew Goldenberg, Michelle Beach, Allison Dawn Borski, Thomas Tressel, David Katz, Tracy Shire, Ronnie Faith Finkel, Arthur Davidson, Upendra Danjal, Patricia Young Chun, Teresa Datris, Brian Michael Casado, Ronnie Gooderman, Melissa Tracy Coucher, Elisa Chowski, Thomas Allen Johnson, J.D. Weinroth, Michelle DiGiacomo, Susan Ann Corneal, Jeff Eichenbaum, Sung Soo Byun, Sharon Joan Johnson, Melissa Karen Hyman, Charles Goldenberg, Andrew James Gradesky, Jennifer Lee Dolich, Laura Stephanie Glick, Harvey S. Gaber, Robert David Becker, Lauren Judith Grieca, Carrie Cohn, Brian Brannigan, Howard Lewis Glickman, Kathy Freeburn, Jennifer Gus, David Joel Gordon, Anthony Nicholas Duca, Carolyn Marie Bullion, Dina Faith Grossman, Julian Fox, Michael J. Murphy, Cara Louise Elstab, Deborah Ann Heron, Michael Anthony Harrison, Scott Howard Coleman, Leslie Elizabeth Amy, Eva Friedman, Christopher John Halpin, Jerry Fight, Colleen Carolyn Doyle, Deborah Belofsky, David C. Pfeiffer, Brett Henderson, Barbara Late Blavelt, Laura Gail Chepanik, Nicholas Matthew Cohen.
Eric George Gordon, Laura Beth Friedman, Lisa Alides, Jonathan F. King, Dwayne Keith Klessel, Dawn Kathleen Roberts, Janet Maria Deal, William John Keys, Michael Bender, Margaret Kurz, Karen Heiner, James L. Minnick, Stephen Flax, Cara Lynn Brezier, Sarah Elsden, David Campiglia, Samuel Jason Goldenberg, Mary Catherine Ahern, Don Ashman, David Kramer, Scott Robert Huberfeld, Rebecca W. Gale, Samantha Green, Brian Todd Blatt, Louis Laprecido, Carrie Maureen Lenny, Heidi Appleton, David Neil Carabell, Thomas Matthew Cohen, Melody Lynn Yellen, Catherine Ann Callista, Greg Charles Felixson, Christopher Bessica, Sarah Jennifer Goldberg, Michelle Eileen Kovenko, Christopher Bone, Joseph Anthony Canuso, Claudia Cantanoso, Natalie Beth Gelber, Matthew Elsner, Daniel Kennedy, Shani Gable, Lisa Boyle, Brian Scott Bortnick, Michael Black, Susan Ann Bates, Shari Allen, Kane William Hanson, Daniel Boris, Nancy Dilks, Dolores Christine Dominisak, Stephen Murray Dribbin, Jeff Felzot, Michelle Ann Catilla, Eileen Stacy Burak, Thomas Creedon, Barack Daniel Kushner, Terry Gramaglia, Francis Harrelson, Charles Henry Durr III, Howard B. Channon, Sherry Lynn Davis, Hillary Ann Ingram, David Jackson, Robert Cowan, Melissa Beth Harvey, Christine Ann Burke, Mark Keene, David D. Stiliberti, Belle Elizabeth Litt, Lori Jeanette Watson, Kenneth Stephen Hoffman, Mark DeGrosier, Dawn Irene Bollers, Julie Ann Brown, David H. Levy, Michael H. Hoops, Jennifer Lazos, Tony Marie Barbero, Ross Lofgraven, Tom Abishar, Randy Michelle Klebanoff, Susan Kelly Bellum, Joshua Brent Ledove, Sean Carr, Donna Marie Klimkowski, Mary Elizabeth Boone, Daniel Ari Farber, Jack Lewis Johnson, Lori Ellen Feeder, Donna Lempa, Ronald Cossow, Thomas Fluent Fortin, Christine Lydia Enriquez, Helen Ann Sawicki, Robert Arthur Brown, Michael Gendelman, Melissa Scott Farnath, Nicole Denoyan, Kendall Oscar Foss, Douglas Allen Dietz, Lynn Denise Omenson.
Leslie Elizabeth Alexander, David Bradley Goldstein, Scott Michael Blanche, Susan Bond, Rachel Leah Bloom, Jerry Kokolis, Scott Andrew Bennett, Michelle Del Vecchio, Judith Tracy Alprin, Kyle W. Griffith, Michael Cavadas Jr., Sylvia Bidwell, Marianne Linda Cool, Brandon George Hamilton, David A. Goldstein, Susan Amy Strauss, Lisa Ann Foster, Jeff Bass, Eric Jonathan Leopold, Jamie Michelle Gertis, Carolyn Elaine Dobbs, Randy S. Cohen, Albert Levecki, Sherry Lynn Israel, Cynthia Allen, Nicholas Vincent DeMario, Abraham Samuel Feld, Donna Lynn James, Sharon Denise Cooper, Peter Charles Blafsky, Michael Lee Canavan, Tina Marie Harrelson, Janet Adams Davis, Matthew Knopf, Michael Meltzer, Cheryl Lynn Barbell, Joanne Ginacol, Christopher Thomas Fisher, Rosario Manio, Anne Marie Fonseca, Stacy Beth Hallquist, David Cernava, David Andrew Trainer, Michelle Feldman, Monica Marie Craven, Daniel Jonathan Winograd, Lisa Marie Barkham, Sherry Ann Freed, Stephen Borg, R. Stephen Phillips, Stacy Katz, Lucy Leone, John Colonna, Howard Wallach, Melissa Carol Lines, Annika Marie Kitlikoff, Mark B. Levy, Jeffrey Herpach, Susan Marie Korinzik, Carol Hersberger, John Harvey Ellman, Stephen Palme, Jacqueline Frederick, Christine Hooley, Eric A. Bloom, Dawn Elizabeth Bosselman, okay. David A. Mitchell, Andrea Baggett, Stephen Wise, Caton Shaw, Jerry Ann Blumenthal, Sherry Ann Litsky, Nick Young, Edward Vincent Santos, Tina Migeau, Marion A. Bass, Robert John Little, Michael J. Milner, Beth Ann Monaco, Jacqueline Myra Ellen Van Loo, Samuel Edward Sweet, Puneet Puri, Alicia Sue Jacobson, Michelle Renzif, David Andrew Schaefer, James Trainer, Lisa Silver, Elizabeth Ann Stout, Terrence Sarkis, Thomas Umfried, Kimberly Manuel, Mina Mystery, Warren Thomas McGee, Benjamin Schulman, Arlene Schroeder, Laura Christina Folio, Timothy A. Stevenson, Michael Traputo, Audra Cheney, Gina Rocco, and Thomas Moncasey.
Ken Nelson, Marge Tamburino, Randy Allison Schwartz, Harlan Brian Hamlin, Richard Paul Minetti, Catherine Von Statina, Jody Beth Afrime, Norman Brian Schiff, Michael John Mertzak, Christine Ann Santangelo, Arzu Tahiri, Todd Scarborough, Michael Mummin, Lori Landau, Helene Beth Zoblin, Daniel Reichel, Jeffrey Gunther, Dava Beth Swift, Elise Robin Singer, David Philip Salzberg, Ed McMorrin, Melanie Spector, Linda Lou Watson, Maurice Peasy, Mark Daniel Shapiro, Amy Stafford, Adora Vabora, Kenneth Charles Aldridge, Matthew J. Miller, Stacy Michelle Selzer, Erin Marie Slasky, Neil Andrew Wexler, Chris Tolis, Nancy Lynn Newman, Elizabeth Rajewski, Glenn Adam Walther, Sean E. Milady, Shubha Ramanathan, Jennifer Helen Myers, John F. Nixon, Peter John Catavetis, Elaine Steinhoff, Wendy Ellen Snyder, Anthony Joseph Scolio, Scott Wentz, Melissa Beth Ratner, Kathleen Susan McDowell, Tom Jung Hee Song, Darwin Mayo, Ellen Beth Dechter, Jennifer Elizabeth Schlegel, Stephen Stern, Scott Mausner, Lisa Paris Soslow, Anne Marie Catherine Maslowski, Stephen Mark Seitz, John Zarzicki, Kimberly Ann Selby, Shari A. Worowitz, Alan Young, Bill Pennant, Christine Procraci, Tracy Lynn Steele, John W. Riccardi, David Santor, Tracy Lee Tacknoff, Kathleen McTagg, Eric A. Starkman,
Chris Norton, Melissa Skirm, Vicky Marie Turner, Dave Zaslow, Matthew Rosenblatt, Kimberly Ann Rodell, Donna Marie Slattery, Eric Pearson, Robert J.C. Ross, Tara Matthews, Anne Marie McDonald, Samuel Michael Yampel, Ali Mobaseri, Jill Lauren Kramer, Amy Beth Merrick, J. Allen Viederman, Charles Y. Murphy IV, Bozina Karpinska, Paula Schillig, Jonathan Maurer, Andre Gofazin, Pamela Rafter, Jenny Pack, Robert J. McCarthy, Michael Anthony Joseph Paul, Paula Middleman, Tiffany Shanette Roberts, Christopher Joseph McCoy, Joseph Manning III, Anne Elizabeth Weiner, Marlene Rosario, Kenneth Phil Smith, Scott Yorker, Cortland Manzo, Michelle Brand, Stephen Todd Myers, Michael James Visconti, Anne Marie Marini, Deborah Ann Stockhammer, Brad M. Richmond, Scott Brian Rosen, Maria Sheila Medina, Marisa Lingo, Jeffrey E. Heeb, Brian Mark Weiss, Mary Jo Ludwig, Sharon Malloy, Leslie Edwin Timms, Bill Smith, Ursula Voltis, Margaret Sheeran, Don Sullivan, Ronald J. Ramler, Nina Lauren Tinkelman, Elizabeth Young, Rick Stevenson, Herbert Harrison III, Stephanie Marie Erdley, Stephanie Lynn Smith, Matthew Lytell, Adam Mark Waxman, Tracy Mass, Claudia Elizabeth Thamides, Larry Mertz, Greg Paris, Wendy Susan Marsh, Sherry Stricker, Stephen Kyle Long.
Scott A. Murphy, Laura Beth Solis, Olga Stavros, Paige Rainey, Stephen Rizzi, Melissa Ann Prince, Darlene Faye Connor, James Steiger, John William Nestry, Nancy Richardson, Katharina Lynn Jacobs, Kevin Scott Schwartz, Greg Platt, Susan Snakowski, Michelle Renee Long, David Ron, Jeff Zolman, Karen Novak, Lori Rush, Nicholas DeChaco, David Harris Nessel, Lori Miller, Claudia Kurzak, John Kinney, Randy Robbins, Kim Pearl, Barbara Elizabeth Thomas, Stephen Prano, Richard Dubin, Debbie Sheehan, Kimberly Miller, Christopher Matteo, Jeffrey Rogers, Cindy Spitzer, Denise Joanne Wood, Carolyn McGrath, David Allen Newman, Julie Alyssa Mandel, Richard Pennock, Tammy Lynn Wyatt, Leonard A. Terranova, Mark Joseph Schreiber, Nancy Rutterow, Kerry Newmark, Carl Steiger, Frank Williams, Renee Lee Odden, Kimberly Jean Schmidt, Ronaldo M. Nascimento, John Wiener, Christine Rohrbach, Carlene Purnell, Edward Donnelly, Brian Edward Whalen, Donna Mazuris, Christine Strobel, Kelly Tyrell, Douglas G. Scott, Nicholas Zane Katsikis, Cynthia Ann Sharon, Dana Heather Vogel, Richard Lee, Thomas Zane Katsikis, Nancy McLaughlin, Pamela Ann Sweeney, Eric Reiter,
Maria Valentine Rizlak, Megan B. Sines, Maria A. Ramagli, Britta Vogel, Suzanne Shin, Claudia Vida, Laura Lynch, Jerry Nicole Saltz, Tanya Monica Trapp, Chris Saliba, Patricia B. Witt, Kimberly Ann Rickabaugh, Janet Milstein, and Catherine Cross.
To the graduating class of 1986, to the teachers who have helped to broaden our knowledge, to the administrators for maintaining a well-structured school, and most of all, to the friends we have made throughout high school, thank you. These are the people who have made our high school years a growing and learning ground to prepare us for success in the years to come. Each of us will pursue our individual dreams in different ways, but one thing all of us share is the place it all began, right here at East. Our high school has offered a competitive atmosphere which has taught us to reach for the stars, believe in ourselves, use our minds and our talents to attain the goals we set. Remember back when we were just freshmen? We tried to find our way to our classes through the halls of our large school. But just as we found our way through East, we will find our way on the many new paths to come. Each year at East has brought new experiences and new friends with whom we have grown into the unique individuals we are today. As we say goodbye now to the family we found at East, we are going to say hello to a world of new challenges, new friends, and new experiences. As each of us focuses and strives to attain future goals, we will not forget all of the laughter and tears we shared while growing up at Cherry Hill High School East. The past 4 years have afforded us the opportunity to know ourselves and form the values that will guide us on our way. We will leave East tonight holding in our hearts very special memories. Each of us has something to offer to life. We are the future. We have the ability to better the world in which we live. We can make a difference.